Hello, this is Joe Robertson with House to Play, and today we're going to do a little real-time market research on the Lake of the Ozarks. Today we're going to be using AirDNA to look at the Lake of the Ozarks. Now, when it comes to AirDNA, do I trust these numbers dollar for dollar? No, I do not, but I do find them reflective of what's going on in the market based on comparing them to my own properties, which I know are accurate. It's in the ballpark. Now, if you're a short-term rental investor and you've never looked at the Lake of the Ozarks before, look at the market from a macro level, you're not going to be impressed. These numbers aren't that impressive. There's 5.4K listings, which is not a small amount. The revenue is pretty blah. The occupancy rate is pretty low. However, as you can see, this encompasses all the way over to Warsaw in the very huge area that represents the Missouri Lake of the Ozarks. AirDNA has recently added a feature that allows you to draw over a specific part of the map so you can see just those properties, and that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to zoom in and draw over what's known as a horseshoe bend section of the lake and see if the numbers there look a little bit better. So now that I've zoomed in, I'm going to draw over the edge of the horseshoe bend. I want to catch a very specific part of the bend. It's a very busy part of the lake. Okay, so now I have this box around the edge of the horseshoe bend. I'm only looking at rentals of the specific part of the lake. So now that we have our area on the lake defined, we're down to 192 properties versus the over 5,000 we saw earlier. The revenue is up a little bit, but honestly, this is still not really doing it for me. So let me do another trick. I am going to filter down to just houses, and what this will do is it will eliminate the condos from this view. And now you can see that we're down to 109 listings, up to 65K revenue, and now you have my interest because this is an average. So there's properties averaging 65K. There's probably some outliers, and I'm always interested in properties that are making more than 100K a year. And if you look at the individual STR listings, you can indeed see you have some heavy hitters here. 236K a year, that is big time money. 163K a year, big time money. 115K a year, not too shabby. Sleeps 27. If you don't know what Sleeps 27 means at the Lake of the Ozarks, come here, you'll figure it out very quickly. And if you continue to scroll through here, and this descends as we go down 107, 99, 98, but this is all pretty solid revenue for the Lake of the Ozarks. So this does look like an area that has a lot of potential. But these at the top are the higher bedroom counts. Let's just say the 5 and 6 bedrooms aren't in your budget. Let's see how the 2 or 3 bedrooms do. So once again, I will further refine this down to a 3-bedroom max. And we'll hit apply. And now we're down to 62 properties to look at. Our revenue K is down to 50K as you'd expect since we're looking at lower bedroom counts. But how do they look? When you look at the individual STR listings for 2 and 3 bedrooms, you can see here that you still have your 163K. They're doing something very good on this lake. You have your 90K, and I like to see this because they only sleep 8, showing you don't have to overload your houses on this part of the lake. But there's a 2-bedroom that really caught my attention down. This one right here. It's a 2-bedroom. AirDNA says revenue potential is up to 60K. I don't really trust that number. I do trust that the 141 days they did have it available, that they made about 40K, which is not bad for a 2-bedroom. But what I find more interesting about this is if I look at the location of this, you can see it on the map. It's this little purple dot here. This is not lakefront. So that's contrary to what most people think when they're looking at an Airbnb is I'm buying a house on the Lake of the Ozarks, I'm going to rent it, it has to be lakefront. That's not the case. You can work around this by having some privacy, by having a good view, or in this case, just being in an optimal location on a busy part of the lake. So that might be more consumable for you if you're a first-time Airbnb owner versus trying to get a lakefront property to compete with the big boys, which you can do, and you can make a profit, but it may be a lot harder than starting smaller. So that's all I got for you today. That's just kind of how I comp properties on the Lake of the Ozarks. I do it by certain sections of the lake. The lake is a very vast place. One house on one part of the lake doesn't mean you can earn the same amount on another house on another part of the lake.